if somebody, if anyone out,
There you go. We
there
got
you
it
go.
now.
All right.
There we go. Yep,
Third,
that did it.
third time is a all right. Third time is a charm, everyone. Thank you. Sorry for the little brief delay there. We kept clicking start webinar and just kept spinning around. So welcome to the team. Welcome to the call. I think we see folks are kind of coming in now. So we've got about 50 folks in here and growing. So first of all, thank you for the for attending. We're so excited to have you join us. If you've not been on one of the NCC webinars before, we hope a little bit different. We have some really cool takeaways. We try to do things a little bit different here. I also know that some of you, I know I've had a few people say they're going to be in Austin for the catering workshop. So if you are there joining us, welcome. Alex, you're there, right? I think as well, correct? Are you in Austin?
No, we have my partner in Austin.
Oh, your partner's in Austin. Awesome. Great. So first of all, welcome to the webinar. This is part 5 of the catering customer journey. We're going to get into that a little bit shortly. So as always, I'm actually going to be broadcasting the webinar live from our website. So the cateringspace.com is our website. It is going to be a website that you can access all of this information post webinar. And then we will be posting our recordings once everything is complete, and it'll probably be up in about a day or so. So first of all, welcome. We're so excited to have you join us. This is a big, this is probably one of the steps of the catering customer journey that's the most exciting, because this is where all your preparation and everything that you've been doing up until this point, you get a chance to show it off. And so we wanted to share the website. You'll see my information here. You'll see my partner in crime, Danielle, who's the owner of REVGEN Marketing, who's my co-pilot on these webinars. So please, Danielle, say hey real quick, just in case no one's had a chance to meet you, and give them a 30-second
Yes,
overview.
30 quick seconds. Hi, everyone. Good to meet you. Spent a decade at the executive level, chief marketing officer for brands such as Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza, Smoky Bones, and a number of the Earl brands. Quickly realized 2 years ago that there's a lot of revenue outside the walls. As a CMO, I focus solely on driving traffic, solely on getting butts in seats, when I failed to look outside the 4 walls where I could and really generate revenue there. So the last 2 years, 2 years ago, I started RevGen Marketing with the goal of generating revenue outside of the 4 walls. That includes catering, virtual brands, ghost kitchens, pop-ups, Amazon hub centers, you name it. Anything outside the 4 walls that can help you generate revenue is kind of where I dabble. So great to have everybody. I will mention that Byron and I have been working on this. This is a playbook for you guys who want to do catering. Catering is a huge segment. And if you're not grabbing 10 to 15% of your sales in the catering area, you're leaving money on the table. I would have killed to have a tool like this as a CMO. So there's a lot of information here. You can pick and choose what you want to focus on and where you want to delve in.
So I'm going to share the site real quick, 30 seconds. In the upper right corner, you'll see where it says the NCC Webinar Library. That's where we will host all recorded webinars. Those that we've had so far will be hosted there as well. So if you've missed any of the early ones, you'll get to see the recording. Listen, we're getting better every month that we do this, but I have to say the first couple, we were kind of stepping on ourselves a little bit. So bear with me if it's not perfection. You'll see the 6 parts that we're going to eventually build into the catering space. We've only got a few of them kind of up and running, but this is a work in progress. The most important one, the one we're focusing on here, is the catering customer journey. So this perspective that we're trying to do is not necessarily from your perspective as a salesperson or an owner, but what are the things that a catering customer wants to experience in order to be able to choose a catering partner. You'll also see here, we've called it the catering comet. It's those little spikes that occur every year on the calendar. We did the one a couple weeks ago for Black Friday. All of the information that we covered is in there. So if you click on the Black Friday, you'll be able to see all of that information. We'll also show you that our goal as we do this is to create 4 specialized pathways. So whether you're a brand leader, a sales manager, a restaurant owner or franchisee, or a restaurant manager and a staff person in the restaurant, we want to create a special path for you. So the goal when we're said and done is that you've got a path that fits your profile and your position in the restaurants. So these are our active missions. I wanted to share one more thing down here at the bottom. Our vendors are something that we're bringing in each and every month. We're not charging them to be here no more than we're charging anything else. We want to build an entire community based on people that want to give back to the industry. So all of our partners, we want to give them a little bit of a plug here. So we have Danielle with RevGen, we have Charlie and Donation Scout, we've got Preet and Catering Rewards, Chin Tan, who joined us a couple last month for Meals Now, and now Alex, our friend, CEO and founder of Cartwheel. So we're going to give Alex an introduction here a little bit later as we go. But if you have any questions along the way, or if you go, hey, I know Byron talked to that guy from Cartwheel, you can always come to our site and access their website from the bottom of our page. If you can't remember how to access it for some reason, you can always start here. So we're going to get into the catering customer journey a little bit. One of the things that we wanted to touch on, there's 6 steps to the journey, and we are on step 5. So as you look at this, there's the 4 steps prior. The first one was awareness, your ability to communicate that you cater out to the greater community around your restaurant, and if you're a brand, to the country at large. Exploration is the ability to let people find you. Do you have a website? Do you have a menu? Do you have pricing? Can I access that information with pricing without you putting me through trials? Do you have the ability to be found in a lot of variety of different ways? Are you marketing yourself effectively? Connection is where the communication starts. Me reaching out to the potential targets, or the targets trying to communicate with us in the restaurant or on our website or through social media, and our ability to get that communication and start the sales process. The sales process and communication ends in awareness and then qualification once we make that first call. Then it moves to commitment, where we take qualification and move it through the sales process all the way to booking and closing orders. That's where we covered a month ago. So now we're down up to the day before the delivery, and this is where experience kicks in. And so the purpose of today's webinar is to discuss the day before, the day of, and the day after delivery. And then that will move us into the care section of the customer journey, which is the ongoing way to nurture and build those relationships with clients. So we have a quote here from Jeff Bezos: "We see our customers as invited guests to a party, and we are the hosts. It's our job every day to make every important aspect of the customer experience a little better." Experience is where you go from, okay, we have the order, and now we want to be able to have something that becomes permanent. And so that's where experience comes in, because some think that the most important part of sales is getting the first sale. It's not. The most important part of sales is getting them to buy from you a second time. And as our friend Mo, who was at Monkey for many years, always tells us, if you get to the 3rd order, you're gold. And so the goal is to always try to get to that 3rd order, but we got to get to the 2nd one first. And having a good customer experience is what will do that. So part of what, and this was Danielle's idea, which I thought was brilliant, and I know many of you out there are going to probably be excited to learn more, but we've got a featured webinar speaker this month, and it's Maria, and I'm going to say it's Torbeka. Is that correct?
Close
Torbeka,
enough.
I apologize. She is a 30-year medical sales, pharmaceutical sales professional who has been in the industry, has ordered a lot of meals over the years, who's going to be joining us today. And we have a complete Q&A session here where we're going to have Danielle and kind of do a live interview with her to kind of share her insights on it. So Maria, welcome. If you want to do a quick intro about you, that would be great. And we'll kind of go into it in a little bit from there.
Sure. So thanks for the introduction. I have been with the healthcare industry in a variety of sales sectors for 30 years. Currently, I'm with Fibernostics, which is a liver testing company that determines the condition of the liver using AI and 10 biomarkers. It's a fascinating technology. The diagnostics out there right now are so cutting edge. And I think I landed in a really wonderful spot with a company that is growing and focusing on such an important health condition. Being that it's liver and we're talking about food and catering, there's needs to be a lot of options for a variety of people working, especially at the end user and what they're getting delivered. So I think that this is a perfect combination for my industry to collaborate with what I'm using in order to get my admission into the healthcare offices.
That's
And
great.
what I'll say is, I can't take credit for this idea. Maria actually came up with the idea. And so we brainstorm on this together. I was absolutely thrilled to have Maria here. I've known Maria as a friend and a colleague for many, many years, but I know as a CMO who has run many, many catering programs, we would die to be able to tap into these pharma reps, right? These pharma reps bring huge orders, breakfast, lunch, dinner into offices, and they're not so easy to tap into. So Maria and I collabed and we decided let's do a webinar and talk about how we can tap into them, which is what we're going to cover first. And then what do these reps look for the day before, the day of, and the day after? Because they are busy. They're placing orders from their phone, from the road, 10 o'clock at night. You want to be able, as a restaurant, to accommodate these people because they bring in a lot of money and a lot of repeat business. So with that, I think
Wait, hold on,
Byron,
Daniel. Yeah, couple more things real quick. One, anything that you're going to learn today from a pharmaceutical perspective, understand that there's some parallels that are going to be with anyone that works in a lunch and learn style environment. So just assume that this is not going to just stick to pharmaceutical reps. You're going to find reps in the engineering industry. You're going to find them in furniture sales. You're going to find them everywhere. And so even though this is the one that's probably most desirable for us, you can replicate your learnings from this across. I want to do one more final introduction. I'm going to introduce Alex from Cartwheel real quick. Alex, just give us a 30-second minute. We're going to get into you more deeply later, but I wanted to explain to them why you're here and where you fit in the customer experience part of the journey.
Yeah, Byron, and thanks for hosting. My name is Alex, one of the co-founders here at Cartwheel. So we provide technology to restaurants, anything related to delivery, driver tracking, dispatch, connecting them with third parties, DSPs. So everything, any interesting cases related to delivery, we cover that. And again, it's not something we built, for someone else. I used to be a restaurant operator myself. I've done, I don't know how many thousands of deliveries. We had incredibly busy delivery restaurant. And we built this software for ourselves initially. And when pandemic started, we started selling it and licensing it to different restaurant brands. So we work with anyone from, small, one location place to national brands with, hundreds of locations.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate it. And then one final quick intro. Miss Abby from New Catering Connections is here. Abby, you want to tell everyone? I know you may be off camera. I'm not real sure, but
yeah, I'm sorry. I am off camera just because I can't get my connection to work well with my camera on, but I am here. So thanks everyone for joining. As always, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, definitely drop them in the Q&A section and we'll make sure that we get them answered either during that time or at the end of the call. So
yeah, we talked about it. Abby's gonna, if it's something that fits in the moment where we're having the conversation, she's gonna interrupt us so we can get it answered. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll cover them at the end. So Abby, thank you. Danielle, I'm gonna hand it over to you now as we talk about the Q&A section. So you'll see on the screen, we talk about the day before, the day of, and the day after. We're gonna get into those specifics as we go, but we're gonna move right into the Q&A section here. So Danielle can take it from here.
Right. So if you want to just scroll up, so yep, we can see that whole section because this is probably the juiciest section. And I'm going to, turn it over to Maria. But Maria, obviously, you went off. There we go. Where and how can restaurants tap into this very lucrative, very coveted space of the pharma medical reps? I know we talked about a number of examples. If you want to just kind of hit some of the highlights, that would be great.
So talking about like connections, like with LinkedIn or conferences and things of that nature, is that what you're going after?
Yeah, like we've outlined here on the screen. You and I kind of talked about, and we've outlined here a number of places where they can connect in. LinkedIn Premium being one of the premier ways to link in. Events, regional conferences, local healthcare networks. If you just want to hit on each one of these topics real quickly with your experience, that would be awesome.
So LinkedIn, obviously, it's the most professional of platforms. Anybody that's landed a job in medical sales or healthcare or pharma or with you can kind of tap into it if you put in city or region, you don't want to put in Florida because it's too large. But if you do something like the city and maybe the company, that is a good way to kind of identify. What really helps you narrow it down is if you follow any of the major drug launches, like just recently Wegovy, the big GLP-1 product that came out. And if you did an advanced search and did something like Wegovy Miami, you may come up with like 5 or 6 or 7 different reps. So if you see something with like a major drug launch, even in watching TV commercials, right, at home, just watching television or reading about something that's a drug launch, if you put in that drug launch or you put in that product and maybe put in the city, you'll probably be able to come up with a handful of representatives that are marketing that product. And then you can connect with that. As far as conferences, dependent on where the caterer is, like example, if you're in the Tampa area, all of the healthcare organizations, whether you're in the dermatology field or you're in the gastroenterology field, you can find local conferences for those networks. And that does not necessarily mean that it's just a doctor. It could be the providers that also work there as nurse practitioners or physician's assistants. There's actually been a lot of conferences that are focused just on that level of provider. And if you find the regional ones that they attend, dependent on the subspecialty, if you had somebody or if you had a booth there and you were a caterer and you had samples, because everybody's always going for a sample, it's a way to pick up, oh, I'd like the rep to cater from that particular office, or or restaurant, or I would like to try something from there. And you'll find the reps there as well. So you might even find the providers, somebody who wants that type of a meal. And then you might also find the regional reps who will go to that. Lately, this is a little off tangent, but over the last 20 years, we didn't do lunches like this before. This has become, as my colleague calls it, the price of admission. So we have the price of admission, whether it's a lunch, a breakfast, a coffee drop, a snack, in order to conduct business. We've got to take care of the provider, the staff, and that's our entry point to be able to pitch our product or to finish
So
our closure.
Maria, can I press that a little bit? So so most people think it's lunch, and most restaurants are going to say, "I want that pharmaceutical lunch." You just touched on breakfast and snacks and other things like that. They're very important for restaurants to know that it's not just a once a day opportunity. And even if you're not a breakfast place, maybe it is a snack option. Any thoughts on how many times a day do you have an opportunity to how many day parts, I guess is the question, where you might need a meal or I need something, even if it's a smoothie or a snack of some kind?
Yesterday I had 2. You can have 2 every day. You can have between 9 and 11. You can have a mid-morning snack or a mid-morning coffee drop off. And then 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, you can do another snack, whether it's a smoothie, fruit cups, anything, junk. You can't do yogurt and ice cream. Those things are kind of complicated to do, but I've even seen ice cream come in coolers.
Maria, I wanted to chat on that because you had a really good idea, and Byron, you just touched on that. Restaurants right now are 100% thinking lunch. Some of them are starting to think breakfast, but Maria does a lot of breakfasts. I know she's followed me to 2G's in a number of places. You can bring a bagel spread, you can bring a number of different things. She had a great idea. Coffee drops in the afternoon, cookies in the afternoon. You know, the goal is not to always fill the stomach. I think that's what you had mentioned a couple of weeks ago. We don't have to make sure they're filled. We want to make sure they have something. And to Maria's point is she feels now she's got to bring something into the office for these doctors and medical practitioners to be able to even see her. So, you know, a tip, think about a coffee run in the afternoon or snacks or a cookie tray or desserts. Those are all great things to pick up some additional dollars. Usually the margins are very good on that, and you're not having to prepare a whole lunch or a whole breakfast. So that was something that Maria and I talked about. I thought was a great idea, Maria.
It's very
restaurant brands
important.
out there. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's very important. No, it's quite all right. It's very important because don't forget, pharma's got budgets, right? There, especially in Florida, there's something called the Sunshine Act. And every state and every rep has a budget for the most part. So it really helps with the budget sometimes if you do 2 coffee drops a day or 2 snack drops a day versus a lunch. A lunch can eat your whole budget up if it's an office of 50 people.
Right. Right. And we're going to get
So-
into some of those. We're going to get into some of those questions here. But Byron, I want.
And
I know
I
you want
wanted
to
to say
hop
real
in.
quick as we talk about brands that are, so if you're a Schlotsky, you got a Cinnabon option. You know, if you're a charcuterie brand or you're a smoothie brand or a juice brand, you have the ability to play in this field. It may not be lunch, but to Maria's point, it may be the late morning, it may be the early mid afternoon. There's some places for people to play, and that was what I wanted to make sure we shared. Okay, go ahead.
And you want to make sure you market it that way. Afternoon pickup, energy, last mile, energy drop, but you want to market them that way so that, so that the doctor's offices or reps or whatever think of it as, oh, this is I don't have to do a full lunch or a breakfast. So, and we're going to touch on that in some of the Q&A. So Byron, if you want to scroll down, I think we covered most of this.
We got hospitals, clinics, and specialty practices. There's some information there. Pharmaceutical distributor networks, professional sales associations. I'd like to touch on that a little bit. Are you a part of an association, and what's the frequency of your meetings where somebody might be able to go in and feed a bunch of people all at one time?
So that's usually done on a regional level, and that would kind of fall into place. As a salesperson, sometimes you're involved in hosting some of the associations that the offices are a part of. So like the Nurses Association of, for example, Dade County in Miami, or Oncology Nurses Association, and you ask to host their meeting because that's my airtime in there to host their meeting. I'm not going to necessarily maybe feed them dinner, but you're going to give them something. So, and a lot of times they do want you to do dinner. There's journal clubs for a lot of specialty providers. So whether it's dermatology or pediatrics or whatever it may be, these providers have journal clubs that they may host once a quarter. And if you're an active representative and you want to be involved, you'll say, hey, can I host your journal club? So it's not so much necessarily that the representative is a part of the association, it's the providers, but it's a quarterly thing usually, or a monthly meeting, and you can take an entryway into that as well.
So if you have a pharmaceutical rep that you've been working with, inquire about some other opportunities beyond doctor drops. They may be able to do some introductions. Ideally, I've always been a one-to-many person. If you can get into a regional meeting where you're going to meet multiple people, where you're providing meals and you can explain your plan, I can't tell you a better way to market yourself for catering, how many people you might meet in one shot. And so understand the relationship beyond just the doctor drops, that there's more above and beyond. So, and then catering marketplaces and platforms. I know a lot of people are going to want to ask about this real quick, and I don't want to move past it too fast. Is a lot of people you use Easy Cater, and that's a requirement for a lot of brands. Can you explain that to folks? Because I know a lot of people will want to move you from third party to a first party for the commission saving. How does that work for you?
For Easy Cater is the go-to probably for the majority of medical reps that I know. And since we've had to start doing these types of things, as I like to call it, or my colleague, I'm going to give him some credit on that. This is the price of admission. So Easy Cater is the easiest platform for us to use because you can put in an order, say 3, 4, 5, 7 p.m., get the order for next day. It's one receipt. It's a easy platform to do on your telephone. The problem lies is it's the same thing over and over again, right? There's not a ton of vendors that are on there, and the delivery fees are so high with many of them. So there's an upcharge. The delivery fee is quite high, especially when you're trying to do as many lunches or breakfasts or snacks at a time. we have these high delivery fees and everything else that kind of eats up into your budget. I've seen delivery fees anywhere from $30 to $50. So that's kind of high. And that doesn't go to the driver. And then you're doing another one to the driver. But Easy Cater's a great platform because it's the
Easy.
fastest for us. Yeah, it's the fastest
It's
for
easy.
us. And then there's also incentives. No lie, no one's going to lie about that. They give you these incentives. They give you a perk. You get a Amazon gift card, or you can use the dollar points towards, a meal purchase for yourself after you hit a certain number, and it just keeps on adding on. It would be nice to see a competitor of Easy Cater, to be quite honest with you, especially with more local regional places. I would love to see something like that. Because if I'm in Sarasota, I'd love to be able to use somebody other than the chain restaurant that I'm using anywhere else, or that my colleagues using in Texas. It's all the same thing, not to name
Yeah.
anybody out. So it would be nice to see a smaller version of an Easy Cater that's more regional, but can also help connect us and give some more individualized businesses some exposure, but also give me the access and the easiness of, when my order's been delivered, I've got it. I've got a notation. When I want to do receipt, I just click a view receipt, and then I can just add it into my expenses, and it's done.
Well,
And
just to let
that's
you
a
know that
great
we do.
point.
I was gonna say there's
I
a
was
group
just
in
going to say,
Florida called Cater Nation, which might be a regional player for you as well. So we can put you in touch with them if we need to. Go ahead, Danielle. I'm
but
sorry.
I was going to say, I am seeing a lot of my clients. Listen, everybody jumped in the catering pool post COVID. Some were in it before. A lot of people are go to Easy Cater. A lot of my clients are moving away, or at least doing a hybrid with the likes of the cartwheels out there and the deliver that. And there are other options that are great options that will give you that. It's just kind of building the momentum. So good point to point that out.
One thing that I did hear though is your ability to order late and is important. And then I know we touched on it earlier when we chatted, is the ability to have somebody to help you solve a problem, which sometimes is hard to get a solution for that when you're working with a marketplace, because you're not working directly with the restaurant, so it creates a
No,
delay.
you're not. You're calling a call center that's, I believe, in Central America with Easy Cater. And then they're connecting with maybe the restaurant's then connecting with the driver, and I'm getting a message back 30 minutes later.
Yeah, that's a challenge. All right,
Yeah.
Danielle, go ahead. Sorry.
Moving on. Let's learn. So now we know where to fish for the pharma and medical. And I wanted to add on to what Byron says. Think outside of the box. It's not just pharma and medical. My husband is a financial wholesaler. He calls on broker houses, financial advisors. He brings in breakfast, lunch, and dinners all day long. So it can be expanded beyond the pharma medical arena. But getting into a little bit about what's important the day prior or prior to placing an order. Maria, as a pharma medical rep, what is important that you look for when placing an order with a restaurant for catering?
Easy options and pressing maybe 3 strokes. Honestly, we're so busy. We're doing this from the car, from the side of the road, in a parking lot, if you're smart. And you're doing this so quickly because you didn't book your lunch, or you just got the option to have a lunch. I mean, a lot of times you do it a week in advance, especially if you have your things booked. But then if something cancels, you need to make edits or changes. Um, that you're just looking for options to be able to do something other than the everyday run of the mill. That's going to be a little bit easier. And you're looking for pricing. There's budgets out there.
Right. And I like the fact, you talk about this promotional program. Guys, you just heard that Maria places on Easy Cater because it's easy, but she also gets financial rewards from Amazon that build up. You might want to consider, because there is a cost per head, you might want to consider out of the gate giving a first time 10% off that, or throw in a cookie platter or throw in dessert. That little bit could get them maybe to come over to your side versus going on the Easy Cater. I think that is critically really important with these pharma and medical reps who have caps, which is going to lead us to the next question, which are you given certain per head dollar amount? And if so, what does that look like? I know the Sunshine Act calls into play here, but talk to us a little bit about that.
So I'm not familiar with the pharmaceutical budget right now. A few years back when I was in a pharma company, you had to strictly adhere to that pharma budget. And I believe it was somewhere to the tune of $15 to $20 for breakfast. Lunch could not be over $25 a head. And that was, you have to keep by that guideline. You can't go over it. With fibrognostics, I'm in a diagnostic space. It's a little bit different. We've got some flexibility, but we try to keep it within those types of guidelines and budgets just for financial purposes. The breakfast, you said, I go to breakfast. I go to breakfast because it goes a long way. It gets your day started earlier. It gets their day started earlier because a lot of people don't do breakfast. They go into the office and they just have a coffee. They're already rushing because you got to think about who I'm calling on. I've got nurses, providers, they're dropping their kids off at school, the dog off, they're doing whatever it is. It's nicer for them to have something warm or something a little bit nicer in the office than the coffee machine and the donuts left over from the day before. So breakfast can go a long way because the cost price point is lower.
So
And
Abby, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Maria. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, Abby has her hand up, so I'm assuming we have a question.
Yeah, we do have a question. Basically what they're asking is, because you're used to using EasyCater as a pharma rep, would you be willing to order directly from a store if they reached out to you with good incentives and a similar online ordering setup as EasyCater?
Yes, because I think it would reduce your budget cost and, it would stretch further.
Well, you also mentioned strokes. Like fewer strokes, like 3 strokes, and you can get the order placed. From a time perspective, I'm assuming you're saying then the order process can't be complicated to use a separate restaurant. Danielle and I've been harping on that because so many places require so many steps. So any thoughts on that? Because I think that more and more people need to hear that simplicity is key here.
Yeah, I'm not interested in signing in, giving them my kidney and my blood type so that I can order $150 lunch. And I went through that. I talked to Danielle yesterday on the phone about this, and I said, here's an example of what I did yesterday. In 4 different offices, I had 3 meals, or 2 coffee drops and a meal. And the meal was, I had to sign, because a lot of times they're going to request, they're going to say, oh, can you get lunch for us from here? And I'm like, sure, no problem. But I had never gotten lunch from this place. And it is a chain. I had to sign in, like I said, give them my kidney, my blood type, my firstborn, in order to order, a multitude of salads. I'm like, I'm not doing this again. I really like this office, so I did it. But I don't want to do all of that.
Yeah.
And the order was perfect, but it took 6 minutes that I didn't want to spend.
So keep that stuff in mind. Is anywhere you can reduce the number of strokes or things that someone needs to do. I've heard that from other restaurant brands so far, saying I reduced my stroke by 3 or by 2 or whatever it might be. That it means something. It's valuable. It's nothing that I ever put a ton of thought into, but I'm glad you said it because I think it means a lot. One thing you touched on: pharmaceutical reps are going to be very restrictive to a certain budget. But you're right, there are others. Like we used to do a lot with hospice companies that, and a lot of times they like breakfast as well because they have softer budgets. But yes, the understanding how this works beyond those fixed costs, I think is huge. So great input. All right, so Danielle, back to you.
And then, most importantly, what's important when placing an order? I know we talked a little bit about flexibility, but convenience, talk a little bit about that. Maria, we've hit on a few of them.
The convenience is, and I know that that's kind of tough, but if you can order, as late as 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and knowing that it's going to get there the next day, or if they don't have something and they'll substitute it, but they just let you know, it's great. You don't want to just have a substitution of something because like I said, this has become the price of admission. I can't say that enough, right? The industry's changed. Our access point to get in most of the time is done this way. So if they're calling the shots, you want to satisfy your customer just from that perspective, along with then me discussing what's really important, which in my case is liver testing and liver health. And I can't stress the importance of being able to communicate with somebody. That Easy Cater has been wonderful. I can't say that they haven't. I do something every day, every other day. But when something goes wrong, it goes wrong. Uh, no driver. I'm contacting them on the chat line. I'm calling them on the phone line. I don't have any resolution for 30 minutes. That 30 minutes, my lunch is over. My time with my provider and staff that I need to talk to is over.
So I know confidence and trust are those things that we talk about a lot. So if you're ordering directly from a restaurant, I mean, I'm sure those play a big role with you.
When I'm direct with the restaurant,
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
yeah. Well, if you're direct, if you're a repeat customer, it's great. There, I work with a bakery and another small restaurant all the time. And I've had so many times, I mean, where they'll just go the extra mile. I can't come pick it up, or Uber Eats or the DoorDash didn't come pick it up for delivery, and they'll run it over. It's a big deal. Goes a long
Well,
way with me.
I
Yeah,
know
you're
one of the
not getting that service with Easy Cater.
no,
No.
and I know one of the things you said earlier, it needs to be in a quote you gave. It's seamless, timely, and stress free.
Yep.
So and then you don't have time to babysit or triple check the details. That yeah, you don't want that to be put on your shoulders, and I think that's
It's unrealistic to think it's always going to go that way. Nothing functions 100% seamless and stress free and timeless, right? It's like air travel. Nothing's going to be, well, I hope it's not like air travel, but it's not. Nothing's going to be that seamless. It would just be nice to have other options that are a little bit more regionalized and a little bit more cost friendly, and options other than lunch.
So, well, one, we're gonna come back to you because we got a couple more questions, but because most of those are gonna be day of and after, so we'll come back to you on those questions.
Sure.
Now, I wanted to take a moment to introduce Alex with Cartwheel. What I was gonna say real quick is, if you want to reach out to Maria, we have a contact on LinkedIn, but please don't overwhelm her. She's got if you want to come through us, we can help you, but her contact information is there. But a great resource of information. So if it starts to get overwhelming, Maria, let us know. We'll call it. We'll try to call off the dogs. But we'll get into the day before, the day of, and the day after shortly. But what we wanted to do now was take a little moment and introduce Alex with Cartwheel. And Alex, we're going to ask you to unmute and let you kind of run through your slides a little bit. I'll be driving, so just let me know when to change the slide. But tell us a little bit about Cartwheel, and we'll let you have the floor for the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Maria. Super interesting. And we have a couple customers of ours visiting this webinar, and I get texts how useful this info is. Well, I'll try to keep it short. We do very kind of niche area of catering. Specifically, we do technology for deliveries for restaurants. So I'll just talk about a couple points that might be important and not all operators use today, but more and more operators adopt. So maybe if we can get to our slides, Byron. So yeah, just talking about purely technology and delivery part of things. So at Cartwheel, we lucky to have visibility into how different brands operate, again, from small restaurants to national groups that work across many states. We work in US and Canada and now UK. So yeah, we can get to the next slide or two. Yeah, so just a bunch of brands we're lucky to work with. And I just wanted to talk about, 2 or 3 things that we feel like important for restaurants when it comes to catering delivery. Let's switch to the next one, Byron.
There's a bit of a lag, so it's coming.
Oh, got
no,
it.
that's okay. It just takes well, I thought I clicked it, but maybe not. Hold on a second. That's why I should let Abby drive. All right. And if it changes it's going to change 3 slides at once. Watch.
Yeah, I see it.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it takes some time to load.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm
Here
trying. It's there's a bit of a delay, so I apologize.
Yeah, no worries at all. Well, I can start. Number one thing we like to talk about is tracking. You want to know where your driver is, right? And something, Maria just mentioned. If you are in this high stress environment, you only have 30 minutes window, you ordered, $400 worth of food, and the driver is late 5 minutes. You want to know what's happening with the driver. And we've all been in situations, you order a small pizza or burger for your home delivery. You don't know where the driver is. You call the restaurant. Restaurant says, hey, let me call my driver. Driver, I'll call you back. So there is this whole chain. So, and I think with, recently with Uber Eats and DoorDash and other marketplaces, we all get trained to expect to have live tracking, no matter, what size of the order. So if we used to do it with, $20 order, clearly you expect it with $400, $500, $600 orders. And we use these numbers from EasyCater study that they published recently. Overwhelming majority of customers is they expect delivery tracking. It's a must. And what we see, again, a lot of restaurants who we consider, legacy brands built using, old technology built in the 90s and early 2000s. A lot of them are switching to updated technology because it's such a requirement. So what we provide is at Cartwheel is live tracking, no matter where the driver is, whether it's your in-house driver, whether it's third-party fleets, but it's unified experience for tracking. The other thing
so Alex, the link goes to the catering buyer, but it doesn't say Cartwheel, correct?
Exactly. It has your brand. In this case, we have Mobetas, one of our customers. Exactly. But it says your brand. You can put banner, order next time. Here is your 10% off, or join our loyalty program. And we see brands use it. And another thing we do with this tracking links, if customer had experience, we ask them to provide feedback on Google Maps or Yelp. 60% of customers click that link. So if they had a positive experience with your restaurants, you will see your online reviews going up. So, and then clearly it's just wastes less time, right? You have less calls from your customers. Where is my order? Less complaints. It just makes everything smoother. So that's number one. Number two, what we see is, and what we provide is, you want to have every step documented. If something, especially if something went wrong, there is multiple reasons delivery can, be late. Restaurant might be late. The driver might arrive, not on time to pick up the order. They might arrive on time, but they couldn't find parking, right? Or sometimes, the customer wants to get something back and they say, hey, my order was late, when it was not. So I guess you want to have every step tracked. You want to know where your driver, Alex, was at 2 p.m. yesterday. How the setup was. So we provide all of that accountability to all parties, which is, again, important when we're talking about orders that are multiple hundreds or even thousands dollars. The other thing
I was gonna say, I'm sorry for interrupting. I want to ask, I know for me with Amazon, now that we get pictures every time the order is delivered, so image capture is a big part of this. And then I noticed you have pre-delivery order checklist. Is that what the driver goes through before they depart? Is that kind of the idea behind it?
Exactly. So we can make it mandatory for drivers to check every little item, whether it's, drinks or condiments, or, just to make sure the order is correct. And same thing with pictures. And what we've noticed, it's nice for the customer to know, hey, This is how the setup was. It's nice for operator to know that their drivers or their partners, delivery service providers they work with, they did a good job delivering their food and representing their brand correctly. So that's what we like about the whole accountability part. Another thing is something we touched here already is, these orders, they can come from multiple sources to the operators. There's clearly EasyCater, but, we see a lot of first-party online ordering platforms for catering getting more and more prominent. There is Olo catering products. There is Toast catering and events. There is Monkey, everyone probably knows about them here. So whatever the source is, whether it's coming straight from your POS, old school, someone is calling you Power POS or Q or one of these guys. So we allow brands to aggregate orders in one unified platform, and then get into my fourth point, to deliver using multiple fleets. So with this tracking and dispatch functionality that we have, we allow restaurants to say, hey, some of the orders will deliver with our own drivers, but we want to work with national or regional or local fleets, and we allow restaurants to connect with 50 different local fleets, as well as Uber. They launched their catering product for Uber Direct recently, as well as DoorDash large order fulfillment. But at the same time, a lot of brands prefer to work with regional players who have more touch, more intimate relationship between the restaurant and them. So I see there is Kevin here at Jackrabbit. There is, I see Momita is here on this webinar from Texas. So there are some great delivery players who are maybe not big national fleets, but if there is something, you don't need to call 1-800 number. You can text them and they'll take care of you. So yeah, that's kind of in short what we do here on Cartwheel. I don't want to make it salesy, but if you don't have tracking today, just call us, let's chat, and let's make sure you're up to date with your delivery management technology.
And everybody, just to let you know, the slideshow is going to work better when it's not on a webinar, but it's set up on the Catering Space site, so you'll be able to see the entire slideshow. There's the QR codes if you want to set up a demo, or you can go to their website. A couple things real quick, Alex, I wanted to find out just to make sure for clarity purposes, you can work with internal delivery, you can work with third party, local, or you can work with the national player, and it all works through Cartwheel. You can work through Olo, you can work through Toast, you can work through Monkey, you can work through EasyCater. That will also migrate through Cartwheel. So you're providing a service that's not a delivery service, but a delivery technology provider to make it go perfect. As much as you can influence it. I just wanted to. So
exactly,
yeah.
Brian, you summarized it great.
A great company with a great reputation. So I would encourage you if you're a catering leader. But I wanted to ask too, Alex, do you work with individual restaurants, or do you work with folks at the brand level or enterprise level? At what level can you work with a restaurant?
We work with both. We have some great enterprise customers. A lot of them you can see on our website. A lot of them we're not allowed to release the logos yet, but some great brands. But we also work with, if you have just one location and you're just starting your catering program, we work with, individual restaurants.
Okay, very good. All right, so now I'm going to take the next little bit and we're going to talk about the day before. Then we're going to take it back to Maria for a question about prior to the delivery of that day, but we're going to cover the day before real quick. So a lot of this, we don't have ever have a lot of time to go too much into a deep dive, but I want you to know that we put a lot of stuff in here. So we'll click on the day before real quick, and I'll go through a couple of things real quick to share with you. Maria, there's a quote from Maria that just says, communication is everything. A confirmation a few hours in advance, and again, 30 minutes prior, gives me peace of mind that the order is on track and allows me to address any issues before it's too late. Knowing in real time, so we go back to Cartwheel a little bit, knowing in real time whether everything has arrived as expected makes the whole process seamless. So understanding that as a restaurant with a tool like Cartwheel, will make the end user client very happy if they can track everything without having to go to a customer service process where I will let me check and we'll call someone else. And then you have this huge wait. So the ability to have a tool that's going to allow you to do that is so huge. So the key strategies for the day before success: send a detailed order confirmation to the buyer. So not just pharma, but any catering order you have 24 hours ahead of time, you should be reaching out to them with a confirmation. Here's how many people we have. Here's how many, what you're ordering. Here's the time. And you start sharing all that information. And then you start asking questions. Do we have any other dietary requirements or special needs that we need to cover that maybe we didn't talk about? Do you need to add anything to the order? Do you need to subtract anything from the order? Here's the time, here's the location. Do I need to know anything about the delivery process? Is there a security gate? Is there a special door? Is there a special floor that I need to go to? When I go to the front door, will I meet a security desk? All of those things are going to play a role in you being able to get there on time. And so every little 5-minute delay that you don't know about that your driver now has to face will cause a delay in the order. So asking those questions on the front end is so critical. And so maybe you didn't get it at the order stage, but 24 hours ahead, you can still start to ask some questions and make some adjustments. The biggest sell is confidence. Reps want to know that when they place an order, it will be exactly what they asked for. So, and then it's going to be timely. Send a confirmation a few hours in advance, as possible as well, the day of. Provide a clear delivery window. We're going to be here between 11:30 and noon. We'll be here between 11:45 and 12, whatever that might be. Again, double check the head count, double check any special requests, share any weather contingency plans you have. It's not supposed to rain, but at downtown it gets a little sticky when it starts to rain. So we may leave 10 minutes early, whatever that might be that you can share with them. 24/7 accessibility and support. Provide multiple contact channels. Here's how to reach us by phone. Here's how to reach us by text. Here's how to reach us by email. And then vice versa. How does your buyer want to be reached out to? And what do we do before the day? And then the day of, do I text you? All of those pieces of information are so valuable to have that last experience be so powerful. Be available for last minute changes or questions. Respond promptly to build trust and reliability. And then the final part on this is prepare for flawless execution. Prepared itemized receipt and delivery documentation in advance. Have a digital version if for some reason the receipt gets lost. In other words, you have a receipt that gets to the buyer, but then email them a digital copy of the receipt as well, without even having them ask for it. All of those things are going to be very helpful. Make sure you're planning your delivery route and in advance. Just if you're not been to this building before, not been to that location in town, please make sure you're planning in advance. And then review professionalism standards. We'll cover all that as we go, but that's a very big part of this. There's 6 sections to the day before: build confidence, proactive updates, final verification, accessibility, have your documentation ready, have a team briefing, and then there's the internal communications and preparation. If things change the day before, that has to be covered with both fulfillment and delivery teams. If there's anything unusual, so let's say traditionally you order a certain way, but your buyer is asking for it to be slightly different, do not surprise them and don't assume they're going to read it on the order form. Have a communication, have a conversation. Hey, highlight it in pink, whatever it might be that's going to be a little bit different, but don't assume they're going to read the small details and catch it. If it's important, highlight it on the order form, highlight it in the order entry section, so it's no surprise on the back end. Again, there's going to be a little slideshow and some deep dive. I'm going to show you. You can click on this. There is a deep dive with more and more information as you progress through this. So we don't have time to cover all of it in advance, but I always like to let you know it's there. So we're going to go back. We're going to go back to, I went too high. And then we're going to go back to another question from Maria, which would be Danielle for this would be question 5, which is, there you go. What is important to you prior to delivery?
Everything that you said, Byron. Arrow up. Everything you said. So, and maybe Alex is the one that developed that, but that text message that I get your order's been confirmed. To view your order, here's the link, right? Because it's not the restaurant's fault if I put in the wrong head count, it's mine. Um, your order's on its way. Those are beautiful. Just if you have here's your order and there's the link and your order's on its way, that is key. That's
So
all we need.
are you always present at your orders? In other words, or can you just send a meal and do a remote learning of some kind, or do you have to be?
Only if since offices have all opened up post pandemic, most of them I'm there. Or if I have a conflict of some sort and I'll say, "Oh, lunch is going to come in, but I need to be there at 11. Can I get time with, the staff, the office administrator, the provider prior to?" And then yes. But 90+% of the time I am there when the lunch is either already arrived. That's also a beautiful thing. 5 minutes early and I'm there, or right about that time frame. Yes.
Danielle, anything on your end?
No, but I think people are realizing as they follow our journey here that catering cannot be considered an afterthought. It is its own business line with dedicated resources, timing, budget, strategy, etc. If you really want to capture 10 to 15% of your sales mix as catering, this is really kind of what it takes, or a good portion of it.
You mean you just can't turn your regular menu into a
Yeah.
catering menu and start selling? Yeah, there's more
No,
to
you
it.
just can't. No, you can't just take your takeout menu and multiply it by 10. So, yeah, there's thought that's put behind it. Years ago, that was an option, but it's really has grown into its own beast, and it delivers it delivers revenue.
And so, Maria, while we're here, we'll go ahead and ask the last question, and then I'll get into and I'll blitz through my two sections a little bit after this. But what's important to you post delivery? In other words, the order's been delivered, it's there on time. You do your session, and then what's important to you from there, as far as finishing up the relationship part of it.
I like the small little details. I don't necessarily want to fill out a survey every time. But I understand that that's important for them to move forward. I love the whole part of getting a digital receipt. And my favorite, I have like two restaurants that do this with Easy Cater, is they have an envelope with my name on it and they print out the form of the receipt. So it's a paper copy as well. Sorry, that's my dog. But the paper receipt is fantastic. I love having an extra copy just in case.
In an envelope with your name. So if for some
The-
reason they hand it to an office manager, that office manager will make sure you get it.
Correct. It's not just sitting there stapled on a bag with tomato sauce slopped over it.
Please, y'all, listen to this. I was teaching this 15, 20 years ago, and the basics, I know Danielle feels the same way. Those core basic relationship pieces are so still important. And so please don't underestimate that. So Alex, I'm going to ask you real quick too. What does Cartwheel do to kind of provide assurance that the restaurant and the end user buyer, what is it that is making, she touched on a little bit, the text message and those types of things. What is it that you guys are doing, and maybe something new that you might want to do in the future, or something to help make that order delivery post relationship just as valuable?
Yeah, I think everything that was mentioned is communication, if I would put it in one word, right? Like you can't over communicate. Here is what's happening. Here is, what to expect. The driver is on the way. The driver is, parked downstairs. So just all the communication steps, they need to be clear and they need to be recorded, so if tomorrow or the day after we want to look what went wrong, we want to make sure there is record for everything.
So I'm going to cover a couple things more real quick, and then we'll hopefully won't be too long. We never go to 60 minutes. It always tends to go later, and I don't feel like we waste time, which I love. I guess that means we're doing a lot of useful. For the day of delivery, punctuality is so key. But it says, she touched on it a minute ago, 5 to 10 minutes early, not 20 minutes early, not 45 minutes early, especially if you're dealing with cold food that needs to stay cool or hot food that needs to stay hot. Or maybe they're not ready for you and there's no one to accept it. So that 5 to 10 minutes early is key, because that gives you enough time to set up, pop the tops, get the trash put away, Get it clean and looking sharp for whenever you're ready to go. 30-minute advance notice before arrival, if that can come through a text message model like we're talking about with Cartwheel. Text the client immediately upon arrival. Can the driver communicate with the end user saying order's been delivered, sent the picture? That's part of that. Okay. Provide real-time tracking throughout delivery. I swear a lot of this wasn't planned. It all seems to have fallen together very nicely. And then respect the meeting schedule and time constraints. These ideas were not put in because I have Alex on the call. These were things that we were saying that we need. And now that we've talked, it all kind of fits. I always feel like we're smart when we do it that way. The professional excellence. Wear branded delivery attire with professional grooming if you can. And even if you have a third-party delivery company, I know there's some out there that even provide those drivers with a branded shirt for that location. I know there's some delivery partners out there who work very diligently with certain brands where they will make sure their drivers have matching uniform tops. Maintain clean, organized setup with pristine containers. Traditional restaurant, wipe the edges before you put a lid, all those little basics so everything looks clean and professional. Complete order verification before departure. Conduct temperature and pre-presentation checks on site. And then if you see something is wrong as a driver, your driver sees something wrong, let the buyer know, listen, everything is fine, this one item is not right, I've already called the restaurant, they're fixing it, I'm going to go back and get it and bring it right back to you. As long as you're problem solve versus your driver just being like, I don't know, I don't work there, it's not mine to deal with, which I'm assuming you'll have to deal with. So clients, make sure the client is satisfied before leaving. That is such a big part of this. Proper food arrangement and serving utensils. Do not put the plates at the end of the line. The plates start at the beginning of the line. The utensils are at the end of the line. Some of those real core basic setups. Set up napkins, plates, and clear dietary labels, right? If it's gluten-free, make sure it's noted. If it's vegetarian, make sure you're noting it. Offer courteous team interaction and efficient unloading. Again, that's a no-brainer. Have immediate response protocol for any issues. Provide alternatives and an escalation path before leaving. Temps, delivery route optimized, upon arrival, professional greeting, food presentation, all those things. This is going to be here for you, but it's in a much deeper dive down here if you want to go through this. And then I've got one more section, y'all, and I think I can get to it from down here, but I don't want to tell.
Byron, I just want to add one thing. Maria made mention. She doesn't necessarily want to get a survey, but you know what? If you want to get her repeat business and get a second order and then a third order, shoot her an email and said, hey, Maria, how did it go? Anything we can improve on? I think that goes a long way with these pharma medical reps. They say, hey, they care. They followed up. Let me place second order with them.
And then the final one is the day after. Professional documentation. I know you said Sunshine Act. A lot of that requires you to have specific details about who you fed, where you fed them, how many people did you feed, what you paid per person. All of that needs to be clear on the receipt. So please don't just have it be a paper receipt where it's a total circled with somebody's signature. It needs to be an itemized sheet. Please, digital delivery confirmation, all those things that we touched on are important. Simple feedback form to gather insights. I know she says she doesn't want to do it often, but put them in there. If you get 1 out of every 5, you're still going to get a ton of valuable information. Ask improvement questions on there. Don't just ask them to give you a 5 on Yelp or wherever it might be. Ask questions that are going to help you become a better provider going forward. Make sure you have your W-9 form available if you're asked for it, because it's becoming more and more prominent for people to ask that. And there's some other tools in here. But we'll cover those. You can have those available for you to kind of review. There's some slideshow format, but there's also, again, deep dives in each of these as far as long-term care and how we lead into that next section. I'm going to go back one more page and we're almost done. So I appreciate you guys. I see there's still 50 of you waiting with us. So I appreciate that. We've got the 3 parts. I've added some things down here for you that I want to cover. One is a quality control checklist. So everything that we just covered, it is in a checklist. You can print this out if you want in the upper right corner. You can fill it out and download it. It is not going to store your information on here, but you can come to the website and say, hey, I need a quality control checklist for the day before delivery, the day of delivery, and the day after, with a place to do notes and a place for you to get sign-offs. Again, you can print this out and make multiples, or you can work directly off the site here and check them as you go. You'll even have a progress counter up here to do it for you. We always want to give you tools, and that's another one we wanted to share with you. in case you need that and you don't have the means to create them on your own, or if you're still kind of AI stresses you out a little bit. The last thing we wanted to touch on real quick, and is before we go, is we do have our catering calendar here on the site. Visit it. The catering calendar is free for you to use. It tells you all the upcoming opportunities each and every month of the year. Right now, we just secured a bunch of orders for Vet Tech Week. I keep seeing the celebration channels for us at NCC, because we work with over 1,000 restaurants across the country with fractional catering sales. So we're seeing a lot with Vet Tech Week right now. Rad Tech Week is coming up for Radio Technology Week for medical in November. So don't just be focused on Black Friday only. Don't be just focused on the holidays. There's a lot of other pieces coming in before then. So actually, we're only 7 minutes over, Danielle. Any thoughts on this? And then I'm gonna send it back to Alex and Maria for both of them to have another something to share with the team before we go. But anything you want to share before we do that?
I'm good. Abby, did we have any questions along the way that we want to cover real quickly before we?
Yeah,
Sayonara?
the only one that I still had open, which I think we've touched on it at this point, but someone just asked about kind of what's an acceptable amount of text to send, like prior to an order going out. What's a good number of text communication to have? Too much or too little? So I feel like we touched on that, but
Maria's saying two.
Two.
perfect.
That's good
It's on
information.
its way.
Yeah.
It's arrived. They're probably the two.
We're
Yeah.
on your way and
Critical.
we arrived. Your order's ready and your order's arrived.
Order ready, order arrived. Great. And want to tell people we do have another 5 to 10 minutes. If you do have a question, feel free to ask it. I did have one or two questions that I wanted to ask. Is you gave us your perspective, and you're in South Florida, I'm assuming. Do you feel like your colleagues across the country have the same expectations regardless of market? You think this is a one size fits all? No?
No, I have that conversation often. I have a colleague in Tennessee and she calls on a lot of rural areas and it's a different market, right? So just, am I allowed to mention name brands on this or no?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's
Okay,
paying for
so
things.
South Florida, it's like, oh yeah, Outback for lunch is fine. I'm like, okay. And then you go to Tennessee and they're okay with, Cracker Barrel or Tudor's Biscuit World. And that's a different price point. And there's nothing wrong with either of them, whether it's Outback or the Biscuit World, but it's a different market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, valuable information. So far, even though we're giving you some really good insight as far as expectations, things like what the menu options are and some of the expectations may vary slightly based on where you are in the country. I think that was something I wanted to double check and see. The other side too is medical offices in different parts of the country. Some may want to go more on the healthy side when you're looking for things, versus others where we're like, we don't care as much. So that's valuable as well. Alex, one more thing with you real quick is, what is it that you feel like if somebody wants to work with you and they want to know more about your specific product, is it best to just reach out through the website or through the QR codes that we shared?
Doesn't matter, whatever is easier. Message me on LinkedIn, email, through the website. We'll make sure we will.
And in Alex's bio, I'll go ahead and make sure I add your LinkedIn profile link when I put, and I'll update it on the website. Abby, you had another question?
Yeah, just something that came in. It's more of a comment, but I'm not sure if you have thoughts that you want to share on this. We just have someone that said, keep in mind, ezCater doesn't make it easy to remedy issues on orders. And sometimes, as much as a brand may want to make it right, it's not easy to do so, because ezCater can stop that from happening.
That's a great point. And that's where the cartwheels of the world and the other ones who are just really focused on that can come into play and have more accessibility to make it right. I've heard many people make that same comment about the ezCaters of the world. They're great, but it is hard to remedy if you want to, do a guest come back and things like that.
So Maria, you're not required to use ezCater. You just do so because you have a variety of vendors, you have consolidated billing, you have easy rewards. But if you find a restaurant brand that you really want to interact with, you have the means to do that.
Yeah, always, as long as it's within a normal budget. And I always try to choose that.
Okay. Well, one going away tip. So just kind of as a recap, some things for me. Don't just focus on lunch. You have breakfast. You have two other maybe day parts in a late morning or an early afternoon, mid afternoon sugar rush, whatever you want to call it. So you have some opportunities around lunch to be able to promote yourself. You may have items on your menu that might be perfect exactly for what you just described. Now, this is back in my day comment. I sold a hell of a lot of fruit trays to pharmaceutical reps in the afternoons at 40 or 50 bucks a pop. Now, this was a while back, but I had a pharmaceutical rep that bought $1,200 of fruit trays that she was delivering to every afternoon for 2 weeks. There's other ways for you to be able to interact with these folks, especially if the books are full. Maria, quick question: Who makes the lunch decisions at the medical offices? Is it an office manager? Is it a head of nursing? Is there a certain position in the place that it makes those decisions most of the time? Oh, you're muted, by the way, in case you share.
And that's a great question, Byron. That's a great question. Maria is on mute. You're still on mute.
Can you
There
hear
go.
me?
We can.
Now
Yeah.
we can.
Sorry. So that's usually a question that I like to ask. I'm like, is there anything you want to suggest right before I place the order? And a lot of the offices are really great, and they give you options. Like they'll give you 5, 10 options of what you can pick on, and then it's a variable question. Honestly, it can be
And
up to me. It can be up to them.
what's
All
their
right.
role?
Yeah, he's asking you when you reach out to a medical office, who are you talking to? The medical assistant
Office
is
manager. Office manager.
office manager.
Office
You
Okay.
got it. Office manager, office administrator. That's usually the one in charge. She takes care of that, or he takes care of that.
And then
Right.
one other takeaway that I got that was pretty insightful for me, and I have never done it that way before. Spend a couple hours watching Everybody Loves Raymond tonight on TV Land. You will see 17 different pharmaceutical commercials about some kind of drug or another. And then go back to LinkedIn and search that medicine and look for pharmaceutical reps and start connecting. If you are an owner of a franchise or a restaurant owner, utilize LinkedIn to connect yourself. And I'm going to say one more thing and then we can go. Please quit posting your customers' information on LinkedIn as a celebration. I understand you're happy. I understand you love the fact that you have this huge order, but all you're doing is giving all of your competitors a direct point of contact for your catering, the person that just bought your catering order from you, and gonna bombard them. Because I know if I'm in a city and you're posting, I just catered to this person in this city, I'm calling that company tomorrow and trying to get my foot in the door. You can celebrate without pointing out who the business was. You can take pictures. I just think you're going to hurt yourself in the long run because you're exposing this potential customer to all your competitors, and they will jump on it. So just please keep that in mind. We're moving
Good
into
point.
the care part next month, where we're going to talk about the ongoing, the long-term ability to maintain the relationship and get that second order. So we're going to really focus on that next month. So any last thoughts, Alex, before we go from you?
I would just say, it's an exciting space, the whole catering thing. We see it growing a lot, and there are some great operators who have it nailed. So just webinars like this and keep learning. I think it's a great thing.
You're always welcome. So if you want to do another one, just let us know. We would love to have you back. Even if you just want to hang out and ask questions, you're more than welcome and you're invited. Maria, first of all, just tremendously valuable information. To hear it directly from a pharmaceutical rep is so powerful. Any thoughts from you before we go? And you're muted.
She's on mute. We might.
Sorry.
There she is.
More options are great, only because it's just nice to have. I don't want a million options on your menu, but I want some more smaller options, and I want more snack options other than Starbucks, which I love. And I love to do that, and they love it. And sometimes the smaller things go a longer way.
Good point.
There's
Very good point.
a ton there. There's a ton there. That's what I'm saying. Fruit trays, veggie trays, dessert.
Love that.
Yes. If you don't do fruit trays and you're a deli of some kind, you've got fruit, you've got veggies. Do a veggie tray, do a fruit tray. Those are tremendous, and there's usually good market. And most people have good dips, have good something to dip it in. But for the most part, that's a great snack. All right, Miss Danielle, anything else?
No, this is a great one. Very nice. Good. Chock full.
And Abby Duncan Tally.
Very good.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We love doing these. The recording will be out tomorrow, hopefully. But hopefully you'll join us next month as well. We love having you, and have a great afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.